Hello and welcome to my wildlife year week 2. I'm not going to talk very much just now, let's just crack on and see what we do. I've decided to just get in practice for the Big Garden Birdwatch that RSPB's run at the end of the month. I'll obviously be out doing that, but also what I thought I'd do is actually record on my cameras what anything I can see, just in case I miss something because I'm looking the other way. So I've set up over here at my bird feeding station. I've got three cameras, three trail cams, but also a it's not GoPro, it's an 8-min action cam. I've actually got it set up on my other phone on Wi-Fi so that I can actually record and upload from the comfort of my sofa, which is rather nice and keeps nice and warm. So we'll see what turns up. There's already been a blackbird down feeding away on the mealworms that I've put out. Okay, so let's see what it's about. Here I am sitting in front of the roaring fire on the sofa in a nice warmth, being able to keep an eye on the bird table and the ground underneath it on my action cam and be able to record from the comfort of my own home. Right, so here we've got, I started the camera when I saw a couple of starlings in the bird feeder. I could see that from where I was sitting, but what I couldn't see was actually some sparrow action down below, lower down in amongst the bush behind the bird table, but also actually coming down onto the ground later on. Lots of starlings arrived, and when you often find that once one starling arrives, they all come in when they know there's food, and the sparrows are just sort of slowly going down. They're actually going down onto the ground to pick up all the stuff that you can see the starlings are actually knocking off the bird table. And then there's a coal tit as well, just coming in at the back. I think it's just about to come down, sort of like near the bottom. Yes, there it is, coming through just about now. Is it going to come in? There it is, just there to centre. Well, I'm not going to say anything about this, I'll just let you listen to the lovely sounds of the starlings feeding. Unfortunately, that trail cam stopped recording just as it was starting to get interesting there. But the trail cam that was taking stills in the ground caught a few bird species as well, including ones already seen like starling and sparrow, and blackbird as well. It also caught a coal tit, but it caught a dunnock, which if I hadn't actually had the camera down the ground, I might not have actually seen. So it's always worthwhile putting the cameras out to see what you might have missed. Of course, it wouldn't be a My Wildlife Year recording without a cameo from Dexter the Dog. Nice frosty day here in the bank of the Teviot, and I've just spotted, just down there, don't know whether they'll be able to see it, grey heron. It'll fly off as we approach, I'm sure, especially as I've got Dexter the Dog with me, but it's always nice to see a heron around. I'll be looking to catch anything it can in the water. The river's quite high just now, been a wee bit of rain and also some snow, so there's snow melt in the river, so it's a bit high just now, but Dexter's seen something, I don't know what it was. He's taking great excitement of going and checking it out, but I don't see anything there. So we'll see how close we can get to the heron. Won't go too close to deliberately get it to fly off, but the path is relatively close to it, so we'll just see how close we can get. Just after I finished my video, the heron flew off over to the other side. Don't know whether you can see it just in the middle of the picture there. I've had to zoom in on my phone as much as possible. Obviously, it was just decided that I was talking about it and it was going to fly off and wasn't going to let me get in here. Just come across this bit of wood here. It's always interesting to look under wood. And what have we got? Well, I can see here we've got what looks like either mouse or vole, wood mouse or bank vole, and in here, and also just here, don't know whether you can see that, we've got slugs' eggs. So it's always worthwhile looking under something like this and to see what there is. Sometimes you'll find something like maybe hibernating amphibian or that. What's really important, of course, is once you've had a look, put it straight back. So back in place. Leave it as you find it. I don't know whether you can see there's a white bird flying down the other side. I am so excited. It was a white egret. I've never seen one before. I am so happy. I'm really just sort of disappointed to never get a decent photo of it, but yes! Right, come back out with my camera to try and get the little egret, and it's just down there on the other side of the river. I'm going to try and get a couple of shots off with my big lens already. Not been able to get that close, but I'll try and get a bit closer to see whether I can get a decent photo of it. I am so excited. Right, it flew off before I actually got that close, but I did manage to get some shots of it in flight as well. I am really pleased. Little egret, it's actually a relatively newcomer to breeding in the UK, but it's spreading northwards fast as a winter resident. Breeding wise, it's only really down the very south of the UK that you'll find it, but we're nearly at the very north extreme of its sort of winter visiting geographically location. That didn't make very much sense, but I'm just excited, so sorry about that. Yeah, so we're near the northernmost records of it, and it's usually found more towards the coast. We're actually quite far inland here, but it's made its home here for the winter. So I'd heard rumours that it went around, and I'm really so excited, as I've said before maybe, to have seen it. So here's the best pictures I could get of it. Welcome to this week's review section. Rather than doing a bit of equipment, I've decided to do a publications review this week, and one of the main reasons for that is I can actually do it inside with a nice roaring fire just over there. So, what we're reviewing, well, it's not an individual publication, it's more of a set of publications. There's 80 odd available from the Field Studies Council, and they're these fold out guides, laminated. They fairly waterproof. There is sort of like where they've been cut off there, water can get down, but they soon dry out. Some of mine have been soaking wet several times, but they've dried out. This one here is on reptiles and amphibians. So one side you get some nice illustrations, and on the other side you get some basic information on life cycle, maybe a bit about conservation and other information, and also where to see them, and also useful contacts. Really good. Each publication costs £3.30 to £4 depending which one it is. They're available from lots of websites, but I would say go to Field Studies Council because you'll get not just individual ones like that, but you also get bundles together. So I know that sort of like, you know, some of the bundles that are available are the seashore bundles. So we've got cetaceans and seals, plants of the common plants of the sand dunes, rocky shore nature trail, name trail, which is great for pond dipping, for rock pool dipping, and rock pooling, common coastal birds, and also common seashells. So I can't remember how much that is, but it's a lot less than if you're buying them all individually. Other ones that you can get are insects. So you've got butterflies, day-flying moths, hawk moths, which covers not just the moths themselves but also their caterpillars. Bees. The bee one, some of the drawings I think are a bit sort of like iffy, but other than that, really sort of like, you know, it's decent enough. And finally, dragonflies and damselflies, which is really useful and gives you some really good stuff, such as there for telling your different blues apart, blue damselflies apart. Again, really good, and they're a lot cheaper getting them all together. And also, you can get a mammal one. The mammals of land mammals of Britain. British bats, which is really useful. It has a sort of like a key here, and it's you sort of like work out, sort of like you can work out if you've got a bat in the hand. Although if you've actually got a bat in the hand, you should be getting trained by a trainer and shouldn't be having to use a key like this. So I've never actually used this to identify it. It's also a bit dated, as there's only 16 bats on here, and we've got now about 18 species of breeding bats in the UK. However, more importantly, on the other side, as well as information about some information about bats and conservation, here it's got habitat they'll be finding, but also here, I don't know how they'll be able to see, is some nice diagrams of flight patterns and what habitats they'll be flying around. And over here we've got the range of their frequencies, but also their peak frequency, which is really useful when you've got you get a bat detector. This one is I think 330 if I remember right. Really useful. You can either get it from the Field Studies Council, although some places you can actually buy a bat detector with this for as part of the price, so it's worthwhile looking out for that. And the other mammal one is Tracks and Guides, which has some really great pictures of footprints here. But it's not just about tracks, there's also feeding signs, burrows, and also one of my favourite topics, which I'm going to cover lots this year, poos and scats. So that's the mammal ones. They also do lots of other ones. I'm not going to go through them all. Some plant ones, playing field plants, woodland plants, and then common ferns. Really useful to have them just in your bag if you're going out and you know what habitats you've got to go out to see. Also, things like lichen and twigs. I'm not great at lichen, sort of like ID, but this one tells you most of the common ones that you'll come across. Another one I want to go into a bit of detail about, though, is owls of Britain. Not just because we're actually quite limited in the number of owls that we have in Britain, but what they also cover are owl pellets, and because it's mammals, one of my favourite subjects, what you might find in owl pellets. So it's got details of the types of skull and how to ID from the teeth and the jaws and in the skulls what small mammals you've actually got in there. So really useful. And just to sort of finish up, some more invertebrate ones. You've got harvestmen, spiders, shield bugs, but also ladybirds and ladybird larvae. More importantly, this is a really useful one. I've used it lots to identify it. And finally, are these two, which are woodland trails and the freshwater trail. They're really good because you can actually sort of like, you know, just work out what it is you've got. Doesn't take you to species level, but you can work out if you know, in the woodland trail, whether it's a woodlouse or a pill woodlouse or a pill millipede, centipede, that type of thing. And the freshwater trail, you know, you might just get to dragonfly nymph or lesser water boatman. Might not get to species, but they're really good. So if you're going out mini beast hunting or pond dipping, these are really good. And that, as I say, they're laminated, so they wash it off quite well. And this freshwater trail one has been soaking wet several times, and I've dried it out in the radiator. So some are better than others, but they're all really useful. Some have better uses. Some I use actually in the field for ID. Other ones I don't think they're really that good for ID, but they are really good for educational purposes. So have a look around and have a look in the Field Studies Council website, see what you think of them. And if you've got any ideas of what you want to me to review, let me know either in the comments below this video or drop me a direct message. And if you've got any questions about Field Study Council guides, which ones you think are good, which ones I think are bad, or just anything else, just get in touch. Okay, so that finishes up this review section, and we'll just go on with the rest of the video. Out for a bit of walk in the lovely winter weather, a daily exercise, government sanctioned of course, and I've come across some tracks. Snow is really great for seeing some tracks, so here's some tracks that I've managed to pick up, and we've actually got two species right next to each other. Right, so here on the left we've got rabbit front feet, and that's the back feet which have gone forward, and so that's the front of the foot, and then you can actually see the imprint maybe there of the back, longer back legs. So that's the front foot, the two back legs come forward, hop along to here, and then two front feet down here, back feet, and hop along. You also see some nice bigger ones. I think that's my wife's feet there. And these ones here look like squirrel. So you've got a squirrel, again front feet and back feet coming, hop along, two front feet and then the back feet in. So keep an eye out if you're out in the snow, because you never know what you'll see. Here we've got some more rabbit tracks heading down the field towards those shooting butts. Right, you may be wondering why I was saying it was rabbit and not hare, because obviously very similar footprints. Basically, it comes down to size. At this time of year you're not going to have any young hares, but also it's known the lay of the land and that. And looking at the number of prints there are around, there's a lot around, they're very small, and I know there's rabbits around here. There are also brown hares, don't get me wrong, but it's sort of like, it's one of those ones where you just kind of know. And as for the squirrels, probably grey, but there are reds in this area, so I can't be 100% sure either way. All would go as far as saying it's squirrel. So have a look at these and you'll see what I mean about the size. Here we've got some rabbits prints here. You can see that they're actually quite small. I mean, I've got quite long fingers and it's not that big. I'd be expecting a bit bigger for a hare, and also probably longer imprints, but not always, because hares can run quite upright, so the rabbits are more sort of like hoppy. So you can never tell directly from a print like that, but I would reckon these are rabbits without a doubt. And you can also see that there's plenty actually running around in the field, so I know from the numbers that it's definitely rabbit. Right, been looking at a few tracks and I've been out, mainly dog, but seen squirrel and rabbit. But one track or one trace that you can see of wildlife is a lot easier than tracks or poo or anything like that, and it's a molehill. Molehills are really easy to spot, and they're not normally as active during the winter months, but that's a big bit of digging during winter here, and really easy to see. And hopefully later this year I'll be doing some more video work with moles. Earlier, when I was talking about the rabbits and the squirrel footprints, I mentioned that there's lots of dog around. Well, sometimes people wonder how you can tell the difference between dog and fox prints. And that is where the handy Field Study Council British Mammal Tracks and Signs guides come in, like the fold-out guides like the ones that I was reviewing earlier. So, this doesn't just have wild mammals in it, it also handily has domestic dog. Now there can be quite a variation in dog, however, the rear pad is often quite a lot bigger than the four smaller pads compared to the fox, where the rear pad is just a wee bit bigger than the four toes. But more importantly, you're able to draw sort of like an imaginary cross. If you're actually out in the field, if you actually can get something like a bit of grass or a straight twig and make a cross without touching any of the pads, there's a good chance it's fox. However, there can be quite a variation in dogs, as I said, so just to make sure that you've got a fox, there's a way of drawing, of confirming by drawing a third imaginary line, and that line is between along the bottom of the second and third toe pad, and across the top of the first and the fourth. And basically that line should go along and not touch any of the pads. And if you've got that, then you can confirm it's definitely a fox. So, going back to the print that I showed you earlier, definitely dog, because as you can see, you can't really draw a cross without going through the pads, and even if you could, there's no way that you can imagine that those second and third pads do not overlap with the first and the fourth pads. So it's definitely dog. Just a quick bit of video that I shot this morning. So I opened the kitchen curtains. I noticed a group of house sparrows and starlings checking out holes in my neighbour's walls up near the top under the guttern for potential nesting sites, and it's only the middle of January. Right, I'm standing top of a stool. Probably not in line with health and safety, but hey ho, you take risks to get close to wildlife. And what I found is just up here is a cellar spider, or a daddy long-legged spider, with prey. It looks as if it's actually another spider that is preyed on. Daddy long-legged spiders don't just take insects, they also prey on other spiders. Some even giant house spiders are a lot bigger than themselves. So let's have a closer look. That certainly looks like a spider that the cellar spider, daddy long-legged spider, has caught. Quite a bit bigger than it from the look of it, but they do punch above their weight. The daddy long-legged spiders, they look frail and fragile, but they're anything but. And if you're in Scotland, then you can record daddy long-legged spiders as part of the Scottish Spider Survey that the Wildlife Information Centre is running, or if you're elsewhere in the UK, you can record them through the British Arachnological Society's Spider Survey. Daddy long-legged spiders are actually one of my favourite spiders around, not just because I can actually identify them, but just because I think they actually look really pretty, with those long delicate legs and interesting shaped body. So I'll be keeping an eye on this one, and I know there's a few others around the house, and they've been breeding last year. There was quite a few young ones about over winter, so I'm expecting to see a lot more bigger ones around this summer. Right. I just decided to check under the stairs there to see whether there was anything in the cupboard there. Last year there was some small tortoiseshell activity in there, some when hibernating, but I can't see any small tortoiseshells hibernating this year. But what I have found is yet another cellar spider. However, this one I know is a female, definitely, because she has a. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by a big carrion crow out in the backyard there, which is unusual because we get lots of crows and lots of rooks and jackdaws around, but not too many carrion crows. So, where was I? Oh yes. So we've got some tortoiseshell in there, but I found a female spider. I know it's a female because she has her eggs on her, and I'm just about to try out this, which has just arrived in the post. It's a clip-on sort of light ring, used for selfies, for sort of like doing makeup and stuff like that, makeup videos. But I'm going to use it to take videos in dark areas rather than running down the battery on my camera by having the light on. Right, so let's go and do the stairs and see if I can find. There she is. I don't want to go too near because let me just. I think it's yes, that's the best one. It's half light. Yes, I don't want to go too near because I don't want to disturb the web. But you can see she protects those eggs, and at some point in the future there's going to be lots of little daddy long legs spiderlings around. So it's a beautiful spider, as I say. Right, well, that's us. We're coming towards the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed that, found something of interest. I tried one thing this week that didn't come off, which we'll try later on this month and maybe into February. Now, I was putting a moth trap out to see whether I caught anything. I was hoping for maybe a winter moth species or two. Unfortunately, it didn't get anything. And I thought, rather than sort of like put something in the video that didn't come off, I'd just sort of like mention it, say that I had done it, but I won't bore you with the sort of like, well, here's what I'm doing, but actually it didn't work. So hopefully we'll do that maybe in the next week or two, weather permitting. If I put it out in a mildish night, hopefully something will turn up in it. So as usual, if you've got anything that you want me to be covering in coming weeks, or any questions of that, either questions in the comments below, or drop me a direct message on social media and I'll get back to you. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. Take care and see you next week.